Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. I'm going to get started. It's our distinct pleasure to introduce to you two academic fellowship programs that are supporting academic entrepreneurs in our ecosystem. We're excited to welcome Activate and Nucleate today, and we're we're thank you so much for the next slide. We're excited to get going. So, a little bit of background about myself. I'm a senior associate on the Tech and Physical Sciences team at OUP. Rick and Oiko, please feel free to introduce yourselves.
Great. I'm Rick Kempinski. I'm the Director of Fellowship Recruitment at Activate Global. Really looking forward to talking to you all today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Öykü Sümer. I'm the Supporting Managing Director of the Boston chapter at Nucleate. So I'm very excited to talk you through about Nucleate and our Activator program today. Thanks for joining.
Great. Next slide, please. Great. In terms of housekeeping, for everyone who has access to the partner portal at OUP, this webinar will be located under the resource tab in the OUP webinar section, as are all of our past webinar decks and recordings will be located there as well. We'll also be posting this to our YouTube channel, so feel free to like, subscribe, and share it across the ecosystem. And we'll also follow up with additional emails and links later on. Also, in terms of housekeeping, if you have any questions, please feel free to add it to the Q&A portion of the chat section. We're happy to help you if you can't find it. Next slide, please. Great. A little primer about us before we get started with the webinar. Osage University Partners, or OUP for short, is a venture capital firm that invests in university spinouts. We primarily did this through exercising participation rights in our partners' university partner ecosystems. We invest in early, mid, late stage spinouts across all sectors, from life sciences to software to advanced materials to semiconductors and climate technologies. At this stage, we share, profit. We share a portion of our profit with our partner universities, and we're at, our fourth fund. And so we also provide additional services to our partners, including proprietary data access, programmatic support, including this one, and a whole host of other services. We're happy to talk about it later, or in person and set up additional meetings. Now, since 2009, we've invested in over 130 university spinouts. We've had 30 plus IPOs, many M&As over the time. We have a 17-member team, including many PhDs, MDs. And so we have a strong technical focus on all those sectors that we mentioned. Next slide, please. Great. And so this is a little bit of a preview of our portfolio. So it runs the gamut of university research. On the life sciences end, we've invested in genetic medicines, cell and gene therapies, to research tools. On the tech side, which I'm more familiar with, we focused on new architectures like quantum computing companies, semiconductor companies, AI-first software companies, as well as climate technologies like Brimstone and Verdox and others. If you want a broader perspective of our portfolio, you can visit our website, and we're happy to also chat about it as well. Next slide, please. So for today's agenda, we're going to quickly provide a brief overview of the landscape, the reason why we're introducing these academic fellowship programs. We have some internal data that we want to share about their programs, and then we'll hand it off to both Activate and Nucleate to talk about their specific programs. Something that I'd like to keep in mind is that there are 2 active deadlines for their current cohorts, both on October 15th and October 17th. And both Rick and Oiku can talk about that in more specific detail. Next slide, please. So high-level concept, I think for any deep tech investor, we think about this valley of death a lot. So from the academic institution, there's a lot of funding that supports fundamental research. Now, the pathway to commercialization is pretty murky. A lot of resources need to go into it. In many cases, the technical risk is large, far greater than most venture capitalists like myself would like to make that investment at that point. And so what entrepreneurs and investors like ourselves, we encourage a lot of founders to look for non-dilutive grants like SBIRs and others. And so in the past few years, we've been pleasantly surprised with both Activate and Nucleate. What they're doing is bridging the gap in other ways. So through these fellowship programs, they're supporting academic entrepreneurs by providing funding, resources, in a community of entrepreneurs that can help each other. And so what I like specifically about them is like an anecdote I like to think about is that I had a friend who, started a deep technology company about 4 or 5 years ago, and he couldn't support himself and pay for some of the fundamental research. And so what he did was he used his wife's credit card in order to pay for fundamental things. And so he talks to me all the time, and he said, if Activate or Nucleate existed now, I would be so much further off in a better position. And luckily, it worked out for him. He's raised over $80 million. He's covered his wife's bills. His marriage is fine. But that's not always the case with most fundamental research. And so I think both programs fundamentally play an important role in our ecosystem. And so I'm happy to introduce them to you today. Next slide, please. And so what's really impressive about them is that they've been able to pick and choose some of the most interesting entrepreneurs and technologies over the past 5 to 6 years. And more importantly, the proof is in the additional capital that has been raised since those fundamental fellowships have been awarded. So since 2018, both programs have attracted over $20 million of follow-on capital each year. It peaked in 2022, as most of the venture market has peaked as well. But you can see that the results are there. Over $600 million of follow-on venture capital funding was invested in both Activate and Nucleate. And so I think that's pretty amazing. And so that's a testament to their ability to pick the right technologies and, more importantly, the right entrepreneurs. And so in terms of our portfolio, we've invested in one of each of the programs. So Glyphic Bio is a protein sequencing company from Nucleate that was based from MIT. We invested in them a few years ago at the seed. At Brimstone, it's a carbon-free cement company that's come from Caltech. We invested in them about 2 years ago, or a year or so ago, in their Series A. And we're hopeful to invest in a lot more companies from those programs. So in terms of frequent investors, right now it's more climate oriented, but we like to see more diversity in the program in physical sciences and otherwise. But the leading investors are lower carbon, impact science ventures, and others. And Activate also has their own venture fund. And so what we're hoping is through these academic fellowship programs, a lot more investors will be willing to take the risk as Activate and Nucleate de-risk the technologies fundamentally. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to Rick, who will take it from here.
Great. Thank you, Ajay. Thank you to everyone at OUP for putting together this webinar and all the kind words you just said about us. Really appreciate it. Such a great partnership working with you all. And really honored to be here with OUP at Nucleate and excited to learn more about their program and how things work all together. So today I'm going to talk about Activate for those who don't know. I see some familiar names on the list, so good to see you both. Good to see you back here. Hopefully I'll answer some additional questions for you all. But I want to talk today about Activate's history, our purpose, why we were created, how the fellowship works, a little bit about our results and our impact, and then more about our application timeline and what we're looking for in candidates and future Activate fellows. So next slide. So we saw a gap in support for early stage entrepreneurial scientists and built this fellowship to meet that need. Our program creates a pathways for scientists whose research is too applied for basic science, but it's a little bit too early for industry, often at an impasse, right? And left with no career to really satisfy them. So our fellowship is an intentional path that enables scientists and engineers to transform an idea into a product that addresses real and profound societal needs. So Activate sees new ventures into early stage innovation ecosystems. We focus on several industries across 16 verticals to address global challenges. Those are all listed on our website. It's a two-year fellowship, entrepreneurial fellowship. Our sponsors are government entities, state and federal, as well as philanthropic and a couple of corporate as well, sprinkled in there. So far, we've had 188 Activate fellows across 9 cohorts. And we were founded in 2015 as a 501c3 nonprofit to support cyclotron road out in Berkeley National Lab. So now we have communities in Berkeley, Boston, New York. We've just opened up our Houston office this summer, and we have our Anywhere community, which is more of a remote experience. So our program is to exist to support fellows, though. We're really looking to develop that science entrepreneur and help them in their journey through creating a company. We don't charge any fees, and we don't take any equity for folks to participate in the fellowship. We also work in hard tech, so we want you to create something. We're actually looking for a prototype to be created by the end of the fellowship. So, but the concept, you could have a proof of concept when you apply, and our fellowship gives you that time to create that prototype, or you can come in with maybe a lab prototype, but really are looking to make it created to become more to commercialization. And we're working all together for a purpose. We're really creating a science for good in order to face some of these global challenges along with you to help us move things forward and move that needle forward. Next slide. So what does the program offer? We offer a lot of time and funding for our fellows to just be able to create their idea and turn their idea into a product. We provide a living stipend of $90,000 to $10,000 per year during the fellowship. That way no one has to use their wife's or spouse's credit cards, no problem. We also provide travel allowance to go to conferences and other professional development meetings. We offer health insurance reimbursement, and we also offer a small relocation for those who are needing to move to one of our in-residence community if you're selected for a community that isn't where you are currently living. We also have $100,000 for R&D funds. That's to develop the actual technology. That's over the course of the 2 years is what that $100,000 should be for. But we also have a couple of venture capital programs that offer additional flexible capital of at least $75,000 and hopefully more throughout the fellowship. We also have an expert community that you're tapped into from day one. You have the team in your residence community or your Anywhere community. Our managing directors all have been science entrepreneurs themselves, so they know exactly what you're going through, so that they provide great mentorship right from the start. We have a network of people in the ecosystem that you're working in, of scientists, engineers, technologists, and entrepreneurs. And we have a vibrant fellow and now a pretty good alumni community since we've been around since 2015. In addition to that, we have lots of tools for scientists to become entrepreneurs. We have a whole entrepreneurial education program that allows you, kind of call it a mini MBA program. So it allows you to really learn and grow your business acumen. We have topics such as negotiation, we have finance, we've got hiring, and things that maybe you are not as familiar with on the business side. And that really helps you start the business from the beginning so that you are ready and prepared to support it throughout the 2 years. And then we have we have access to world-class research labs in our communities that we partner with. So we help you have conversations and figure out exactly which space works well for you, what facilities work well for you, and then which facility is going to allow you to create your product and while also retaining your IP rights. That is a very important part of the program. Next slide. Great. So a little bit more about the fellowship. While you're in the fellowship, on a weekly basis, like I said, you're doing professional development activities with your cohort, either at the national level or at the local level. There's guest speakers who come in and talk to you. We have speakers on virtual programming as well. And also some social bonding that happens, lots of happy hours, some ski trips have happened, things in your own ecosystem, but also meeting in small groups together with investors and sort of people within your ecosystem. We help set those up. On a monthly basis, you're looking at one-to-one mentorship check-ins with the managing directors, just to make sure things are moving along either personally on your personal growth or on your company's growth. On a quarterly basis, we're asking you to put together your advisory board meetings and lead those meetings and let your advisory board know how you're doing. And then annually, you're reflecting on how how the year went, as well as meeting the next cohort of fellows in the retreat, and then meeting with the alumni at our reunion. Next slide. Great. So, like I said, these are just examples of things that people actually created in the program. We just wanted to give some examples. And so you can see that we do expect these to be created. Umaro has created delicious, crunchy, meaty bacon made with red seaweed. It's actually pretty good. I've had it. And I think you can even buy it in some grocery stores at this point. So they have done really well. Microbiome looks for feral bacteria that excel at producing valuable compounds and domesticates them for low carbon applications across industry. And Melinda has created a closed loop system for recovery and reuse of carbon fiber composites. A lot of their work, a lot of their product can be found in sporting goods and cars and planes. So you can kind of see that's across several industries, which is pretty impressive. And next slide. This talks about our results. Ajay already kind of mentioned this, but we've had 188 Activate Fellows who've created 145 science-based companies. They've raised $1.38 billion on follow-on funding after the fellowship, and they've created 1,900 new jobs. So our fellowship is working, it works, and we're really proud of the results so far. And I'm looking forward to the future of science entrepreneurship. Next slide. Great. A little bit about our timeline. So we're currently looking for our cohort 2024, which means our application opened on September 19th and will close on October 17th. Ours is the October 17th date, so please make a note of that. It's not a very difficult application. You can go to and sign up for some of our events online at activate.org/events, and you can sign up we're having an upcoming webinar on how to write and prepare your application. So please sign up if you're interested. After the application closes, we have our selection process that takes place over the winter time, internal reviews from subject matter experts in our selection committees and our community. And then in January, you'd be invited to video interviews where you have the opportunity to meet with our selection committee and talk more about your technology and your interest in becoming a science entrepreneur. And then if you make it through that to a finalist, we have a finalist week where people are doing their pitches about their company and their technology to an audience of subject matter experts and community to actually be hopefully selected as a fellow in April. And then we have a whole onboarding process so that everyone starts around June 1st as a cohort, because this is a cohort-based fellowship program. And next slide. Just a little bit deeper about the eligibility. We are looking for people with a bachelor's degree and 4+ years of post-baccalaureate scientific research, engineering, or technology development experience. So you don't need a PhD, but most of our fellows do. That does count. Going through advanced education does count towards your work, but you also do not need it. It's not a requirement. You must be a first-time founder. So if you've already created a company or been a founder, you don't need us. You already have the skills to go on and do another company. You must be committed full-time to the proposed project or company. So we expect you to, be fully invested in this if you are selected. You must legally be able to work in the U.S., which means if you are a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, obviously you are. But we do have many foreign nationals who apply to our program too, and we do support foreign nationals as long as you have a plan for a working visa while you're in the fellowship. We do not you're not an employee of Activate, so we do not sponsor visas. So you should be an employee of your company and on a working visa. And we have different pathways and several fellows who've been through that if you need us to connect you with folks. And then we must be able to communicate proficiently in English. And then your company must be based in the physical or biological sciences or related engineering disciplines. You must be, again, in development and not yet ready for full-scale product at the time of the application deadline. And then you must not have raised more than $2 million in debt from non-governmental sources, but you can raise as much SBIRs or STTRs or other governmental grants that you'd like while you're applying and going through the program. It's not a problem. Next slide. That's it. That's all I have to say, but thank you all again for joining and coming to this. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can email the apply@activate.org email address at any time, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to do that as well. And I will now turn it over to Oyoku at Nucleate.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks a lot for all this information. And I will probably take the scope of Activate and step back to introduce Nucleate, because I think Nucleate fits through before you apply to Activate. So if you wonder like which one that you're more eligible, if you're more early stage, I recommend our program. But if you're a bit in a later stage, I recommend the Activate. So next slide, please. So Nucleate is a fully nonprofit organization, fully run by trainees for trainees. So this is our motto. And we are empowering the next generation of biotech leaders by educating today's academic trainees. So we are mostly driven by with our educational mission, and we are trying to democratize the resources free to everyone. And we would like to reach out to everywhere in the globe, hopefully, that I will be talking about where we are actively working. But as AJ talked about how bad is this gap in an early stage, and as a PhD student myself, I think it's very hard to get on the wheel while thinking to start your own company. Next slide, please. So Nucleate has been established in 2019 in Boston, actually, and then it went global. However, we are known by our flagship program called Activator. So the name is very similar. We have a different ending only. And after the establishment of the Activator program, we grow up since then. And we included other courses, lecture series, diversity workshops, career development opportunities, hands-on workshops, and networking events. Since 2019, and we are trying to become a global leader in this industry, hopefully. Next slide, please. Right now, we are actively working in the globe. We have like a core chapters in the US. It's almost 20 core chapters where they run the Activator program actively. And we have also core international chapters in UK, France, and Switzerland. And we have some associate chapters. They are preparing to run this Activator program in their region as well. Also, they are also providing workshops and hands-on workshops and the networking event in their ecosystem as well. So we are actively working in 28 regions, over 120 institutions, collaborating with 120 institutions, and we are run by over 500 student leaders. Next slide, please. So let me talk you through about our Activator program and how we are diversified by the other accelerator program. So we are focusing on two main tracks in life sciences sector. However, I think the way that we diversify, we are focusing on very, very early stage, and you have an idea only then establishing your team through our Activator program. So either you have a technology idea in bio track or eco track. So these two tracks focuses on three main pillars for biotherapeutics, diagnostic, and tools. And tools include platform technologies as well as medical devices as well. And they are trying to answer the questions like how we can develop safer and more effective drugs, or how we can diagnose diseases more reliably, cheaply, and earlier, or how do we better understand and control biological systems? And eco track is our newest track, I would say. And not all of our chapters are running the eco track, but some of our main chapters, especially Boston, run the eco track, and it focuses on food and agriculture to answer the question of how do we feed human nourishing food in a sustainable way, or chemicals and energy, how can we produce chemicals and energy from sustainable resources, or the last pillar focuses on the consumer products. How do we sustainably manufacture consumer packed goods and materials? So technology bringers comes with the idea in these tracks, and later they are matched with the contributors. Next slide, please. Just the slide before. Yes, this one, thank you. So this is the overview of annual cycle. Right now, we are in the application phase. Our technology sourcing started in June, and our application opened in the August, and which will go until mid-October, October 15. And currently, we are having applications from the technology bringers and the contributors. Contributors can come from a business background and clinical background, or again, a technology background, which I mean postdocs, PhD students, and MS level students, even undergrads, if they have the technology idea, that's wonderful. Just we don't have any PhD requirement. The only requirement that we want from our applicants to have affiliation with academic institutions or an industrial institution, which has an academic institution collaboration. And after the application process, we will start the team formation event. So the idea will find its team. We will basically matching the technology applicants with the contributors that are interested in their technology. And after this team formation event, we are interviewing with the semi-finalists and deciding our final cohort in late December or early January. Then the Activator program starts in January and goes until the May. If we talk about the Activator program in detail in the next slide. Here, this is Activator program in a nutshell. It takes 5 months to go through. It starts with a wonderful team launch event where we invite our sponsors, our industrial advisors, our alumni, and every leadership members, and they got to know our teams for this year. And then there is a mentor matching event happens after the team launch, where all of our teams getting their mentors who will be supporting through the Activator program by meetings. Also, these mentors are established people in their related industry. And then hands-on workshop program starts, where we are having bi-weekly regional workshops supported by the seminars, national HQ seminars about different topics. For example, in workshop 1, it focuses on the technical risk and scientific plan. So Nucleate Activator program is really tailored specifically to each team. So our leadership members are matching each team with their specific experts for the specific workshop. So what do I mean by that? For example, if team has a technology focusing on the breast cancer diagnosis, for the technical risk and scientific plan, we are matching them with an expert has an expertise in the breast cancer diagnostic idea, with an expertise in the scientific planning. For example, for workshop 2, this expert will have a market idea. So we usually match them with the CBOs of the related industry. And we have also diversity, equity, and inclusion workshops, as well as the regulatory strategy workshops, which is really important for both of our tracks, where we here collaborate with our legal sponsors so that they can go through and answer the specific questions of our teams. And we have also strategic fundraising workshop where our team learns about the strategies to fundraise according to their stage of their technology. And also the workshop 6, our teams are getting a chance to meet with our alumni or the previous founders which have been through a similar process, so that they can bring their concerns and questions through the process, because it's really challenging, right? They need to be strong to go through. And at the end of this workshop series, it ends with the practice pitch to prepare our teams to the final pitch showcase. It's a demo day where we invite the judges from venture capital partners or from our sponsors. So this is usually a big regional event that everyone in the ecosystem join and trying to meet with our cohort members. We have very tiny monetary price since we are a non-profit organization. However, we are providing every thing for free, so we don't take any equity during the Activator program. So next slide, please. So far since 2019, Nucleate alumni teams raised over $300 million and over 70 awards and honors won, over 200 biotech jobs created, and one of our team was actually acquired by the big biopharma. Next slide, please. So I would like to give some examples from our cohort, especially the Glyphic Bio. So they were focusing on, their technology focused on next generation platform to enable single molecule protein sequencing. This happened actually during COVID time, where everything was virtual. So 2 of the co-founders from the opposite coast in United States found each other through the Activator program and established their own company, so which is really exciting. And they raised over $900 million to date. Next slide, please. And another example, Vitra Labs from last year. So they are trying to establish a protocol to revolutionize the in vitro fertilization, and so far they raised $4 million to date. Next slide, please. So here are the requirements for tech applicants. So for contributors, only requirement is you have some interest towards 2 of our tracks, and you have to be affiliated with an academic institutions. And for tech applicants, they will be the idea bringers, so they need to have an approval from their PI. They need to have a well-defined technology or a product based by preliminary scientific research, and they can have an IP already to protect their technology. However, if they don't have IP, we are also okay with it. They need to have a clear path to file an IP within next year only. And of course, there needs to be a clear potential to apply the technology in the market, and team intending and willing to spin out in the near future. Next slide, please. So of course, none of these would be possible without our sponsors in the industry. We would like to thank our regional sponsors, as well as in the next slide, our national sponsors. Thanks for supporting us. In the next slide, you can find the information how to apply Activator program. And also, we are having regional, if you're in the Boston region, we are having in-person or virtual activator info sessions. Please come and meet with the leadership members, some previous teams, our alumni, and our prospective activator cohort members during the info sessions. We have upcoming in October 5th, if you can register here. And in the right side, you can apply the activator program. And if you have any specific question, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you very much.
Great. Next slide, please. That concludes the pre-planned portions of the slides that we're going to present today. Want to thank Rick and Oiko for doing so. And as demonstrated, both have a track record of success within the academic university spin-out ecosystem. They both play an important role, and they both have application deadlines that are coming up soon. And so what we'd like to do before we get into the questions is encourage you to share their applications with your cohorts, with your student entrepreneurs that you're working with. Ideally, this could help someone in both biotech as well as the tech and physical sciences arena. And so now what we'd like to do is open the floor for questions. Both of their contact information is there as well if you'd like to reach out directly to them. But we're happy to take questions now. So reading through it now, I think, Rick, you've addressed this, but perhaps we can address it again. Canadian citizens, are they eligible for the program?
Yeah, for Activate, I didn't put it in here, but we
Yep.
do support foreign nationals to apply for the program as long as you have a plan for how you're going to be on a visa for the duration of the fellowship. Activate fellows are not employees of Activate, and so therefore we do not sponsor visas ourselves, but we have had many fellows who are foreign nationals obtain a visa either while they're applying or after they apply, after they're done with our OPT. We've had O1 visas, we've had H1B visa holders, and we've had certainly TN for those Canadian citizens as well. And so certainly you have to identify that pathway that you're going to have be able to work, but we do support you if you are able to be in a working visa. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
So for us, maybe I can also comment on I don't know whether it's delivered to the Rick though, for the Nucleate program. If you're a student in any institution where we have active core chapter that you can run your activator program, you are eligible to apply for us. You don't need any visa if you're a student. And also, if there is no core chapter in the region that you're staying, we have also global virtual activator program. So you can also apply to the global virtual activator program from the same link that we are sharing.
Great. So for Oiku, how much is the stipend for Nucleate, if any?
So we have a monetary prize at the end. We don't give any stipend through the activator program. There usually students are still studying in their classes. It's not a full-time commitment. We have a monetary prize. It changes chapter to chapter. It's usually around 3K to 10K for the winner.
Great, thank you. Let's see, and I assume this is for you as well, but we'll keep it open-ended. So are students pursuing MDs, are they eligible for the program? And
yes, they are.
Great.
They are.
Got it. And have there been prior students in the cohorts who have had a similar background?
MD background, yes. Like they would either bring the technology or they can apply as a contributor, because I think I forgot to mention, but we have also clinical matching happens in late January for the teams that are in need of clinical applicant, like the clinical founder or like a clinical member, we are usually getting applications from the MDs and matching them with their respective teams.
Great. And for both of you, so can participants, fellows, can they join remotely in your programs? And by extension, let's split it up between the two programs. So, does it help with team formation, or are you already assumed to have a team prior to applying?
I can go first if you want. Sure.
Sure.
So for us, so the remote question, if you're looking to work remotely or in an area that doesn't have an in-residence community, you can apply to our Activate Anywhere community. That's the more remote experience in terms of the Activate Fellowship. If you are selected for an in-residence community, again, those are Berkeley, Boston, New York City, and Houston. And if you're selected, the expectation is that you are going to relocate and be in person for those opportunities. There's there's programming that happens every other week in person. So we expect that if you're selected as a fellow, you are participating in those. That's the whole point of the program, is to build that community and build your community and network that way. And so we do expect you to be there. In the application itself, we ask that you rank the communities and give a justification of why you're ranking that community. So, and with the expectation that if you are selected for that community, you would move to that community if it's in residence. But if you're only interested in the Anywhere community, you can. Just note that that is one of our more competitive communities to try to get into. And then helping you form a team. Our program, you are allowed to sign up with one other person, so you can have a co-founder when you apply to the program. You are responsible for finding that co-founder, and you should do that. You have to do that by the time of application. You can add someone later. However, if you are going through our program, we do teach you how to help build a team, right? Like the hiring of additional team members and things like that could come later once you build your company.
You can find your co-founder in Nucleate, for example. If you apply to us first, then consider applying to Activate when you graduated from Nucleate. So this is usually the way our alumni goes and transition to Activate. So it's a common step for Nucleate alumni. And to answer your question, we have, as I said, Global Activator program. If you are in a region that has very far away from any of the core chapters, I recommend you to apply to the global program. So it will be fully virtual. Everything, workshops will be held virtual, and we have usually yearly summit happening in the August. If you are the winner of Global Activator program, you will get your tickets, everything paid by Nucleate to join this annual summit. So you will get a chance to meet with people in person as well. But if you're living in a region close to the core chapter, I recommend you to apply to core chapter to have the experience most of it, because you will get a chance to join the networking sessions in person and meet with the mentors and experts and the other players in the life sciences industry.
Question for Activate. So can the eligible fellow be a postdoc in a more established lab that has a more senior faculty member as a founding partner?
Yeah, so when you apply, I think you mean the primary applicant. Yeah, it should be, you can be a postdoc as long as you are planning on leaving that postdoc and committing to this full time, right? So you should be doing that if you are selected. And if your founding partner also plans to be committed to this full time, it could be anyone, as long as, again, you both have to be committed to working on building this company full time. So as long as that's the case and you both are eligible based on the basic criteria, then you can definitely be both apply.
Great. Another question for Activate. The website, the website mentions that you do not currently accept drug development projects. What about de-risking a technology that is used for drug development? I assume some type of tool.
Yeah, typically that's correct. We typically do not fund straight pharmaceutical drugs as sort of our technology, only because we think there's already a pretty clear pathway for that, and that you probably don't need us through the FDA process. But yes, I mean, we have funded folks in the space if there is a technology sort of pharmaceuticals as a platform or bio as a platform. So it has to have some sort of component of like environmental impact or something like that as well. And so there's a couple of, I would recommend looking at a couple of our companies in that space. There's HOPO, HOPO Therapeutics, if you look at our website, and IVU Therapeutics. Those are two that I would look at and see sort of why they're a little bit non-traditional in terms of that that space.
Great. Question for both of you. Do either of the programs have formal relationships with tech transfer offices? I'll interject and say we're supportive of both of you. So hopefully this is the beginning of some.
We have some, yes. We are trying to extend it as well.
Yeah, same. We would love more and more deeper relationships. I'm the first director of fellowship recruitment, and so I think we had people trying to reach out, and it was sort of not as formal, I think, as we would like, and we would love to, going forward, have much more of a better relationship in order to help us with our promoting and recruitment of the program.
Great. So another eligibility question. Can you be a staff scientist at a university and working on commercializing a technology? Does that count in the fellowship for Activate? Like, or do you have to be a postdoc or some other role?
No, you could be. You do not have to. So anyone is allowed to apply to our program as long as they meet our basic eligibility requirements. So it could be at very different stages of your career. We encourage anyone, as long as, again, you are going to be stepping away. For example, we have 2 full-time faculty this year who are taking a 2-year leave of absence from the university to pursue their company. And so as long as you agree to do that and are committed to it, you are able to, you'll be selected. You can potentially be selected.
Great. And are remote and in-person fellowships, do you obtain the same amount of funding? I think this is for Activate.
Yeah, it's the same. It doesn't matter. Yeah, no, I think you get the $90,000 to $110,000 stipend. You get the same amount of travel allowance. Same. You just don't get the relocation because you're staying where you are. And then you would get the $100,000 R&D. So everyone across the board gets that as fellows. Yeah.
Great. I think we've addressed most of the questions. So I want to ask a few of my own. Now that the application window is closing in the next few weeks, in both of your minds, like, what makes a successful application?
Okay, you want to go first?
Okay, I can start. It's really depends on like in which position that you're applying for the Activator program in Nucleate. If you're applying as a technology bringer, so we would like to see your slide deck, pitch deck, very brief. You don't have to like design it crazy branding stuff, but we would like to see the technology that you're bringing, whether you have an IP or you have already talked with TTO, and we are asking whether you have approval from your PI. So before you apply, please talk with your PI and have their approval. It's really important for us. And also your technology description and how you are seeing your technology in which markets that you can think about as a good fit. So you have to have like some kind of idea that's how you can apply your technology, but we don't expect that it would be the best idea. You will get trained through the Activator program for that purpose.
Great. And for Activate, I would say probably just a little similar. I think what we're looking for is, I think you have to have a great idea, a science like that you've tested out at least a little bit, at least check to make sure that it was there's a market for it, some customers for it, some customer discovery. Your proof of concept is that it could potentially be viable. And then I think for us, it's really important for you to demonstrate, why you want to be a science entrepreneur, why you want to go on this pathway as a potential career, right? And also, can you be adaptable? Can you pivot? Can you take some feedback from your mentors and really listen to people to help, maybe your idea is good, but it could always, maybe it might need some shifting. It might be something that there might be industries that you haven't even thought of that someone else might be able to think of. So really just that openness and just demonstrating that openness to accept feedback and maybe pivot if you need to.
Got it. I think you both touched on it. So, from the application process to taking advantage of the actual programs. So, by extension, and how can the fellows get the most out of the program itself? If you could talk about a little bit more, those who've been more successful, who have gone on to raise that kind of capital, what were the common characteristics that they did, not only in their personalities, but also how they took advantage of the program?
I think I can also comment on that first, if you allow me, Nick. The I think, of course, ambition is a process. Like, you have to be ambitious, and you have to be joining to the workshop to leverage the experts' knowledge, right? I think this is a very, very important thing that's come with a workshop prepared. Ask your questions wisely, because you have like a 2 hour free of charge with an expert that's usually gives $500 per hour, or like per half an hour. So it's a free, you can ask everything, you can contact with them later. They're all doing this voluntary. Also, our leadership members are trying to do everything voluntary. So join to networking events. I think the most successful teams that I have seen and raised money, they came to all of the events that we are provided to our teams.
Yeah, and I'm just going to echo that. The community, it always is the number one most valuable, surveyed as the most valuable aspect of the fellowship for all of our fellows throughout since 2015. So take advantage of it, be engaged in the educational component that we talked about, be engaged in even the socialness of the fellowship, because I think you might meet people and be connected to people when you least expect it. And so as long as you're open to, meeting people and being connected and attending those events, and getting to know your fellows and across not just your community, but also across Activate writ large, that's going to really benefit you. We have teams of people even on staff who can help connect you with everyone, from our partnership team to even our HR department knows a lot about HR and can help you, maybe connect you with some folks who can help answer your payroll questions or those things that they've already figured out and that you're new to. So yeah, just going to echo to take advantage of all the, not just the science aspects and the access to the lab, but also the personal connections as well.
Great. And you both alluded to a strong community. We recognize that not every startup or venture works out, especially as, the probabilities are stacked against all types of companies, especially deep tech ones. Can you speak a little bit about the community and sort of the support that you both would provide, let's say if their original idea doesn't work out?
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to go first again, or do you want me to?
You can start.
Yeah, so we support that completely. Like I said, our program is all about the person. We really do have that philosophy, and so we recognize that some things, either require, again, the pivoting from your original idea, which we support, or if it doesn't work out, we've had folks who've had to exit and close down their company afterwards. But we see that as a success, as building a new entrepreneur, a science entrepreneur who can then either try it again, build another company, or take their knowledge to one of the other startups, or a startup, or venture cap. Like we have people go to venture capitalists and be then funding, knowing what a startup looks like and should be looking like, help them fund. So we look at it as a success, and every journey is different, and we support all of it.
I totally agree. I think it's very similar in Nucleate too. like the thing that we are very proud of, it's our community and our style of the Activator program. If you remember, the team formation events happens for semifinalists, not only finalists. So even you couldn't join to the Activator program if you're not like passing through the interviews, you will already have matched with a member from a business member, business student, or another tech person who stated interest in your technology. So you can even continue with them or like apply for the next cycle all together to develop your idea better. So this is one opportunity that you are getting from Nucleate, even with a one application. And another thing is, even if you, for example, the team didn't work out, some of our leadership members, we saw that they join to the Activator cohort member as a applicant. So it also worked through that way. So because they get to know the team during the Activator cycle, then they join to their team thinking that it would be a right fit. So you're getting this from the Nucleate community.
Great. Thank you so much. You know, the last question I'll leave to both of you is like, do you have any final thoughts, tips on the application itself, for any potential fellow who's considering this next step in their careers?
Rick?
I don't have any additionally from what I mentioned already. I will plug, though, that we are having some webinars about our application. So please register. We're actually having one on Monday. Our first one's on Monday. So please do it on October 2nd. You can sign up at activate.org/events. And we're having another one on October 13th. But that's pretty close to the deadline. So hopefully you can learn a little bit more earlier on October 2nd. But please sign up. That's just Monday, I guess, which is crazy. But yeah, please attend that and learn more. We have a whole content of walking you through the application.
Same for us. We have regional information sessions. So I shared the QR code for the Boston chapter only, but if you want to see what about the other regions, please follow our LinkedIn, Nucleate LinkedIn. We have also chapter-specific LinkedIn accounts you can try and find out. It's usually Nucleate Boston, Nucleate Philadelphia. So go and check from LinkedIn. I think you will see all of the events there and info sessions happening there. I think apart from that, just have your time, look at the application first, look at the questions, take your time, give at least 4 days to fill it out, at least for the Activator program.
Great, wonderful. So don't do it last minute. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Well, I think that's a wrap for our webinar today. We want to thank both of our generous panelists, Rick and Oiku, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. At OUP, we're excited to continue to support and make these type of programs you know, make you more aware of these type of programs across the university community, because it really does help everyone involved, from the student entrepreneurs to the PIs to obviously investors down the road. But ultimately, most of these projects have, you know, a deep societal impact. And so that's the ultimate goal. It's a for-profit venture to solve some really difficult problem. And, you know, I can say at OUP, we're thankful for these programs to support many of our academic entrepreneurs that we come across. So appreciate your time as hosts and panelists, and appreciate everyone else's time for those who attended. Thank you so much.